Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaron Nix. Welcome back to the Wrestle YouTube channel, and I am here to discuss AEW Dynamite. Not bad actually, to be fair, although I do have, as usual, some critiques. We are fair, we are honest, we are candid at the WrestlePlug, so buckle up, check out the highlights, enjoy yourselves, and hopefully be entertained for the next 15 minutes, particularly if you didn't have time to sit down and watch the full 2 hours that was AEW Dynamite. Now, the show opened with a fantastic singles match. Christian Cage's first singles match since 2014 against what I believe was Del Rio at SummerSlam. I don't know, some fucking sweaty nerd will probably correct me on that, but great match against Frankie Kazarian. Really cool to see these guys getting good use. Not like in the SCU gimmick that apparently as a tag team, whenever they lose their next match, they're going to disband. Don't see the point in that. But at the same time, I understand with the amount of ridiculous tag teams they got going on, it's probably for the best to give Frankie Kazarian a singles run, because this match proved just how good he still is, particularly as a singles wrestler, and Christian Cage has not missed a step whatsoever. This was one of the few times where I will accept that idiotic chant, "You've still got it," like they just turn up and don't even fucking warm up for it, and they just jump in the ring. Alright, let's see if I can still do this wrestling thing. I haven't done any training for the last 7 years or anything like that. Come on. But this was actually relevant, and it was a great match, and I love the fact that it was a serious match. Simple, effective, and serious, and I enjoyed it. Both guys laid their shit in. Both guys sold really well. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't so high-paced and choreographed that it felt a little bit too unrealistic. It was perfect. It was everything you'd expect from a Christian Cage match. And having him on the roster really helped strengthen and bring a lot of validity to what AEW is trying to do. I don't have a problem with them bringing in ex-WWE guys if they're going to have performances like this. My problem is when they're bringing in all these guys and they're just like, oh, well, WWE released him, why not bring him in? That's all very well and good, but they've got to be able to slot into what you're doing, and they've got to be able to fit into the roster. You've already got quite a bloated roster. Admittedly, you do have Elevation and Dark, which is quite useful now, a lot more useful than when it was just AEW Dark, but still, overall, most people are probably going to watch this show more so than they do anything else. So, ultimately, having Christian Cage on board is a good thing, not a bad thing. And I appreciated this match. Thought it was excellent. Great to see Christian pick up a win. And he really went for it as well. These guys almost went the distance, the 20-minute time limit, and they really put in a shift. And it showed that Christian Cage has still got a lot to offer. And although I'm a little bit gutted that he's not in WWE and tagging with Edge just because nostalgia is a terrible, terrible drug at the best of times, I'm really pleased to see him plying his trade, and it looks like AEW will be a good fit for him, so I'm pleased from that perspective. We then had something that, I gotta be honest, I was quite excited about. I don't know why, I just was. QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes. Weirdly, I had high hopes for this, despite the fact that I think QT Marshall is highly amusing and looks like an onion with a haircut. I actually liked this a lot. I thought this was really good, because obviously the story told here was that QT Marshall feels like he's been disrespected. He is, in his own mind, responsible for the Nightmare Family and the Nightmare Factory, you know, producing so many talents, and yet he's the one who doesn't get any credit, and of course Cody does. He's the one who gets the big entrance. Jim Ross was brilliant, by the way, on commentary this week. This is probably the best I have ever heard Jim Ross on commentary. I gotta be honest, I have not been a fan of him for AEW. I think Tony Schiavone is hot garbage, but I gotta be honest, I thought both of them actually were very good, particularly JR. This week, I thought he was excellent, and this match was really proof in the pudding, because he had his opportunity to sell the product and not just watch a bunch of goofballs running around doing stupid shit, although there was that too. I like this. Great story told. QT Marshall taking shortcuts a little bit. Arn Anderson is the special guest referee, and, you know, Cody Rhodes kind of taking pity on him. And I think that infuriated QT Marshall more, and the psychology in the match was really well done. Eventually, you know it's going to break down. QT Marshall gets back in the ring full of frustration, and he just lays out on Anderson with a fantastic right hand. Gets out of the ring. Everyone for the Nightmare Family is like, what the fuck are you doing, man? What the fuck are you doing? And then all of a sudden, someone splits Nightmare Factory right down the middle, because a few of the guys turn on the rest of them. There's a kind of infighting moment where you think, what the hell? I was really chuffed because Anthony Ogogo, gotta support the boy from the homeland. Championship boxer as well. Really talented lad. Great to see him starting to finally find his feet and get his chops. This might be his breakout moment because him and a couple of the other guys kind of break away, join QT Marshall's faction. Obviously, the people that have aligned themselves with QT Marshall feel the same as he does, and they absolutely laid waste to the Nightmare family. I love the symbolism that was involved here. You got the steel steps and Dusty Rhodes. He just is a bloody mess, laying there pretty much knocked out Sparko, and right before he's about to truly decimate Cody and nail him with that steel chair against the steel steps, out comes Red Velvet and plays a really good role here as the kind of almost the savior, you know, putting herself on the line, and it felt quite emotional. It felt quite real. I thought it was great. Red Velvet's like, what are you doing? Don't do this. Why are you doing this? Why does it have to be this way? It was brilliant. And QT Marshall essentially just sort of saying, okay, fair enough. We'll wait. And, you know, he calls off the dogs and they leave. The only problem with this is now you've got another faction because you've split, you know, it's almost like the NWO, isn't it? Black and white, and then red and black. And this is what they've done with the Nightmare family, who nobody really was taking seriously as a faction in the first place. I don't need to see any more factions. You've got the Pinnacle, you've got the Inner Circle, you've got Team Taz who've got problems of their own. Now you've got this gang, and also you've got the Dark Order and Matt Hardy's man. Too many. Way, way, way too many. There's a lot of similarities to WCW, and not all of them are good. Some of them are bad similarities, and I'm not keen on this whatsoever. However, the way they played out the storyline itself was excellent. I cannot believe how much I really enjoyed this, and it was great to see QT Marshall finally doing something interesting. Brilliant. Do you know what? Fair play. Other than the fact that it means that we've got another faction, I really loved this segment and I really loved this match as well. Everything really felt quite good and quite realistic and delivered on a really good level for me. Red Velvet's backstage. She gets jumped by Bay, which is Jade Cargill. She is so fucking hot in every sense. She's red hot in the wrestling business and she's red hot in the flesh. Oh, mama. I love Jade Cargill. Don't care what anyone says. And frankly, I haven't got time for any disgusting derogatory comments online about her. I think she is absolutely scintillating in every sense. Big fan of this woman. She beats the shit out of Red Velvet backstage and says, I am that bitch. I love how freely she constantly keeps swearing as well, because in the real world, we swear, don't we, Nails? Motherfuckers! I love swearing on this channel. No, YouTube, I will not censor myself. Go fuck yourself. Speaking of things that would make you swear, the Inner Circle jumped the Pinnacle. This was fucking awesome. I enjoyed this too. I didn't think I was going to, but I did. I love the fact MJF's like berating their dressing room. He opens the door to leave and boom, there's the Inner Circle minus Jake Hager. He goes, huh. And I love how he just shuts the door. Really Looney Tunes-esque, like, shit. Just shut the door and it didn't happen. He goes, we gotta go. Goes to the other door. Jake Hager's like, nah, bruv, nah. And then all hell fucking breaks loose, and the Inner Circle lays the mother of all beatdowns on the Pinnacle. Oh my day, Scott Dawson, he got the fucking shellacking, didn't he? My boy is proud and powerful, done a number on FTR. By the way, that match is gonna be fire. Cannot wait for that. That is gonna be so sick. I'm really liking this, to be fair. Again, like I say, there's too many factions running around, but hey, this is a good fucking use of them. The Inner Circle essentially takes back their dressing room, absolutely batters the Pinnacle. The only downside to it, I suppose, is that the Pinnacle look like a bunch of bitches, but, you know, the Inner Circle are supposed to be pretty hard in their own right, and I imagine the inevitable faction warfare match they're going to have is going to be pretty sick. I think they were going to have like their own version of War Games, weren't they, a while back before the pandemic hit? I think it was right before the pandemic actually hit. They were going to have that War Games match. Looks like this is the perfect setup for that. Would not surprise me if that's what they're going to do later down the line. And hey, I'm all for it. Cannot complain. By the way, just before this, they had Jon Moxley versus Cesar Bononi. I don't care. I really don't. Also, why did it take Jon Moxley far more time and far more effort to knock off Cesar Bononi than Cody Rhodes did? Also, why are you just not using Cesar Bononi well? He's a fucking monster. Give the guy a proper push, or just don't bother using him until you've got something decent for him. Just don't get it. Do not get the point of that. That was a very big thumbs down for me. I'm not a fan of the way they use him, and ultimately I don't need to see Jon Moxley floating around in these silly throwaway matches. Give him serious opponents or save him for much bigger events and much bigger matches. It's as simple as that, really. The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega took on my favourite trio, Laredo Kid and the Lucha Brothers. I didn't like this match. I'll tell you why. There was nothing wrong with it, but it just felt quite meaningless. There was no real emotional investment. The story seemed to be that Laredo Kid was looking to kind of right the wrongs of the past and beat Kenny Omega. That was about it. Other than that, it was just, how dare you super kick me last week? Let's have a match. Let's flip around for 10 minutes. And there was nothing wrong with it. It was great. I thought Gallows and Anderson actually worked really well in this match. I think they're a little bit underrated. I don't agree with some people who think that they're just shit and have got go away heat. I actually really think they've got good value because, especially in the tag team division that is AEW, they slow things right down and they give you a completely different palate cleanser. And I appreciate that. But it just felt like a pointless match. And once again, you know, Kenny Omega has to get the win, which is fine. I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, could you not have just had Anderson or Gallows lose? You know, if you just continuously roll out Omega and the Good Brothers and they just keep on constantly winning when Omega is involved, it gets to the point where it becomes Super Cena booking and you tend to lose interest in it. And the one point where I must admit I did perk up just a little bit, because I love the Lucha Brothers, right? I think they're fucking incredible. But throughout this match, I was like, I don't care because I know Kenny Omega's going to win. The one time they did get me, to be fair, was when Laredo Kid hit the Michinoku driver and Kenny Omega kicked out. I thought, ah, damn it. I honestly thought he was going to win. Other than that, I just started fast forwarding because I just thought, I've seen all this stuff before. Rey Fenix is fucking amazing. The most athletic wrestler in the world. He is so special. But yeah, I just thought, okay, great. Also, what are we doing? I thought Penta was a heel. He was going after Cody a couple of weeks ago. Now he's back with Rey Fenix, and apparently they're faces with Laredo Kid. You just think, you don't know who's face or heel every week. Like, the one thing I will say for Kenny Omega, at least he's consistently a dickhead every week. At least he is the douchebag heel, even though he's fucking terrible at it. These guys, what am I supposed to do? I thought I was supposed to hate him 2 weeks ago because he was threatening to break Cody's arm. Now, this week, who am I supposed to feel sorry for? Very strange. Very strange. Just a mishmash of things, and I don't get it, to be honest. I really don't. I remember Cody saying a little while back that we don't really believe in heels and faces, that, you know, there are shades of grey and stuff like that, but they just flip and flop from one step to the next, and you think, what happened to that really good manager as well that Penta had? Are we just not using him now? Like, bad continuity, bad storytelling. Booker of the Year? Not if you can do stuff like this, mate, I'm afraid. The women's division is, again, still in its one match a week kind of nonsense. It feels a little bit more serious, to be fair. Still way off what I expect it to be. Love the tag team of Taynara Conti and Hikaru Shida. I believe that is basically WrestlePlug Team First, if you consider that I am absolutely in love with Taynara Conti and Carl has got it so bad for Hikaru Shida. So it would have been nice to have had him here to discuss this match. They took on Nyla Rose and Ali, who's finally wrestling again. Hooray! How long did that bloody take? Jesus, I hope that was because of an injury and it wasn't just because they didn't have anything for it, because if that's the case, fucking hell, pull your thumbs out. The woman's great. I must admit, I thought this match was a bit sloppy, a bit boring in places. Do like Taynara Conti. Really like the style of wrestling. I just feel like Nyla Rose is woefully underutilized, and I feel like she should be running over a lot of these women. I can do without Vicky Guerrero, like I've said, but overall it was good fun. It was decent enough. It wasn't terrible by any means. It just didn't really mean much. It just felt like a very cheap kind of forwarding of the storyline for the women's title, and ultimately who's going to go after them. Ali, of course, gets the win with the use of a cheeky kendo stick behind the referee's back. That's fine. Whatever. Is what it is. Also, because you had all this nonsense at ringside with the Matt Hardy brand and the Dark Order, it just deflected from the match. There's too many people at ringside fucking around. They've got to have 50 people, it seems, at every match. There's way too much of this. Big manic matches with loads of crazy spots and let's all stand here and wait for someone and Taynara Conti can splash us, and it just looked really fake and I didn't like it. I thought it was shit. I don't understand. How are you going to explain to me that 10 or 12 guys could get wiped out by two 100-pound women? Sorry, that just looks fucking stupid as far as I'm concerned. I love these women. I love the women's division. I want it to do well. But spots like that really do take the shine off of it for my money. And also, it didn't help that this was the penultimate match and the main event was a tag match as well. You knew I was going to have to talk about this. Arcade Anarchy. Rusev, aka Miro, and Kip Sabian taking on the team of Chuck Taylor and the man who puts his hands in his pockets, Orange Cassidy. So, full disclosure, I didn't hate it, okay? I must admit, I was sitting here thinking, I'm probably going to shit on this, aren't I? I'm going to shit on this, definitely. I enjoyed some of it because even when they were doing stupid carny spots, at least it looked fairly legitimate. Miro, right, is a tank. Okay, he is a monster. He should be going after the World Heavyweight title, and instead he's in this crap, garbage, bullshit rivalry. This is terrible. This is terrible from his perspective, booking-wise. Awful. How can you possibly say to me that this man, who, by the way, WrestleMania 31 was, a few days removed. We're about a few days removed from it being 6 years since, WrestleMania 31? At that WrestleMania, Rusev came out on a fucking tank in front of 50, 60,000 people in San Francisco and wrestled the biggest star in the modern generation's history, John Cena. Now, you can say, yeah, well, he lost and he dropped his United States Championship, which he had held for so long. But ultimately, you got to wrestle John Cena at WrestleMania and he came out on a freaking tank. Fast forward 6 years, he's in a match in front of about 1,000 dumb marks and trainees, and he's throwing people into arcade cabinets. Come on. Even AEW fans, you cannot sit there and tell me this is a good use of Miro. You can't. If you think this is a good use of Miro, then frankly, you just don't respect him. Never mind yourselves. How can you honestly sit there and say that he's a huge, huge wrestler and he's a big deal if he's going to be in matches like this? Sorry, no. Garbage. There were some spots which were fun. I enjoyed the use of Mortal Kombat cabinets because I love Mortal Kombat, but ultimately this was just a load of dumb stunts, and then it just got sillier and sillier. Chris Statlander makes a return. This is how you bring back Chris Statlander. In a bloody arcade machine. Now, admittedly, I like the continuity of it being a UFO machine. How she didn't come out of a Space Invaders machine is beyond me. Come on. If you're going to book stupidity, at least do it well. Fuck's sake. Also, it just seemed like a pointless way to re-debut her or make her return. Why is she getting involved in this and attacking Penelope Ford? Could she not have just been a bit more serious? No, because she's got to be an alien. Whoopee. She can join the freaks. I was very, very audibly excited when Trent returned because for me, he is one of the most underrated talents they have. But once again, he's being held down by this hokey bullshit. Chuck Taylor looks garbage by comparison. I'm sorry, he does. He's a good worker and I loved him in PWG. But, that was an indie promotion. That had a certain level to it, a certain ceiling. This is national TV. This is supposed to be a big deal. This is supposed to be a viable alternative to WWE. And I look at Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, I think, oh dear. Dear, oh dear, these are your main eventers. And then to make matters worse, they go over. Admittedly, they have to pin Kip Sabian, but, Trent comes back. I don't get the whole thing with his mum. It's really funny. Trent's mum's here, and she's got a car, and and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I think that's fucking garbage, if I'm being honest. I'd be embarrassed if my mum turned up to the wrestling. I mean, my mum hates wrestling anyway. She wouldn't turn up in a car. She'd just stand in the back and be like, you're all stupid. That's just her. So they go over. Whoop-de-doo. Was it ridiculously shit and offensive? No. Was it good? Not really. Miro has it bad enough in this crap. And then you have him lose. I know he didn't take the pinfall, but he still bloody lost. Just get him off of TV for a few weeks. Take him away from Kip Sabian, put him with someone else, and just please do something else. Jesus Christ almighty. Overall, though, if you took away the main event and what it meant to me, I thought this was actually a really good AEW Dynamite. It's been pretty solid for the last few weeks, actually. I'm really starting to enjoy the product a lot more. I enjoy watching it. I look forward to watching it a bit more. But, I just wish they would get rid of a bit of this hokey garbage because actually, overall, this show was really good. And that's because they focused once again on more professional wrestlers and professional wrestling as opposed to all the fucking indie marks and douchebags who have to hit each other with a load of weapons to get over. So, don't get me wrong. I like hardcore stuff, but, it needs to be kind of balanced out. It needs to have a place. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and all that jazz. I've been Aaron Nix, and I'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Blog.